What's up YouTube, Saf here on SuperSaf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the specs and features of the Samsung Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge to the HTC One M9. Now all these devices were announced today, so they are going head to head, and we've got HTC versus Samsung again this year, but this time Samsung have two devices against the one. So what are the key differences between these? Do hit that thumbs up button and let's find out. So starting off with the displays, the HTC One M9 has a 5-inch display, whereas the Samsung Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge both have a 5.1-inch display. So you've got larger displays here on the S6 and the S6 Edge. Slightly larger, just 0.1 inches, but the S6 Edge does have the unique feature of that curved display, so it curves on both edges, and that brings some features and also some nice unique design looks, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. In terms of resolution, the HTC One M9 sticks to 1080p, so you've still got 1920 by 1080, works out to roughly about 441 ppi pixel density. The Samsung Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge both come with a Quad HD display, so that's 2560 by 1440, works out to roughly about 577 ppi pixel density. So you do have the advantage here of a higher resolution on the S6 and S6 Edge compared to the HTC One M9. You might not notice a difference at a distance, but if you do bring the devices closer, you are going to be able to notice some differences in terms of detail when it comes to sharpness of text and images. And moving on to the differences in sizes, the S6 is roughly about 1.2 millimeters smaller in terms of the height compared to the M9. It's about 0.8 millimeters wider, and it's 2.8 millimeters thinner, so massive 2.8 millimeters thinner compared to the M9. So Samsung have really gone for a very thin device here. With the S6 Edge, it's about 2.5 millimeters smaller in terms of the height compared to the M9. It's roughly about 0.4 millimeters wider, and it comes in at 2.6 millimeters thinner compared to the M9 as well. So generally speaking, quite small, especially in terms of the height. Now that height does go towards the BoomSound speakers on the HTC One M9, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. But it is quite impressive to see that even though you've got slightly larger screen sizes on the S6 and the S6 Edge, that they have gone for quite a compact size. Now moving on to the weight of the devices, the S6 comes in roughly about 19 grams lighter compared to the M9. The S6 Edge comes in roughly about 25 grams lighter compared to the M9. So both here more compact and more lighter as well. Now this does partly come down to the build. The HTC One M9 has that full metal unibody. Now this looks quite similar to the M7 as well as the M8, but looks like HTC are going for a if it's not broken, don't fix it mentality. So I personally really like the design. You know, maybe it would have been nice to see something a little bit different, but it still looks very slick. Now with Samsung, they were criticized a lot heavily for going for all plastic devices, so they have gone for something more premium here now. So you've got the metal frames with Gorilla Glass on the front and the back, so you've got a more premium design here and a build. Personally, in my opinion, the S6 Edge looks very nice. In terms of just the looks alone, it looks really nice because of those curved edges. So right now it's between the HTC One M9 and the S6 Edge for me in terms of the best looking devices out there. It's going to be interesting to see these hands on and see which ones look and feel better in hand. Now moving on to the internals, what's powering these devices. So HTC have gone for the Snapdragon 810, so that's 64-bit chip, and it's octa-core, so it's got two quad-core processors. Now Samsung were also going to go with the 810, which we were initially hearing in rumors, but we also heard that the Snapdragon 810 heats up a little bit, so they opted to go for their own Exynos 64-bit octa-core chip. So you do have 64-bit octa-core chips on both sides here. We are going to have to see the performance of these side by side. Both of these do have 3 gigabytes of RAM, so that's even here, and that should be really good. Now with the HTC One M9, they've only gone for a 32 gigabyte model this time, so storage option you only have 32 gigabytes. Now with the S6 and the S6 Edge, you've got 3 different options. You've got the 32, 64 and 128 gigabyte options. But the interesting thing here is Samsung have this time opted not to go for expandable storage, so you do not have a micro SD card slot. You do have a micro SD card slot on the HTC One M9, so you can expand it by up to 128 gigs. So this is very interesting, and a bit of a surprising move from Samsung, shall we say. Now moving on to the cameras, so up until now HTC have gone for the ultra pixels, so that's 4 megapixels with larger size pixels, which gives better low light performance. This was heavily criticized, so this time they've gone for a 20 megapixel camera. This has an f2.2 aperture and has a sapphire cover lens, so should be giving you some decent shots. We will have to see these hands on. With Samsung, they've stuck with the 16 megapixel camera, so you've got low resolution here. However, you've got 1.9 aperture, so you're going to have better low light images, you're going to have more light captured, and you've also got optical image stabilization. So that's key. Optical image stabilization on a smartphone is a big plus. This is something that's not available on the HTC One M9. Now you've also got some additional features here on the S6 and S6 Edge, such as double tap, which will wake up the camera straight away, and they've really aimed to go for some quick shooting options. Now video, both of these film up to 4K, so that's a 2160p, although I would predict that the S6 and the S6 Edge, because of the optical image stabilization, are going to give you some more smoother results. Now front facing cameras, HTC, they've actually moved the ultra pixel camera from the back to the front this time, so you've got 4 megapixels which are larger, so they should give you some better low light performance, and it's an f2.0 lens. And now the S6 and the S6 Edge, you've got 5 megapixels, and these are f1.9 aperture, so we are going to have to put these side by side because you do have the larger pixels here on the HTC One M9. So to see the differences in low light capabilities of the front facing cameras will be interesting to see. Although with the S6 and the S6 Edge, they do have some additional software features which will combine multiple shots to give you some better low light performance, and you've also got real-time HDR from the front facing camera. Now moving on to the operating systems, both of these come with Android Lollipop, which is the latest version, but they both have their own skins on top. You've got HTC Sense UI on the M9, and on the S6 and S6 Edge you have TouchWiz. So this is going to come down to your personal preference. With TouchWiz, they have said to have toned it down quite a bit. There's a few features that I like, so you do have multi-window and things like that, which I find very useful. With Sense, it's supposed to be improved, so it's got location based tracking. So say for example you come home, then you'll have a different home screen and at different times of the day, and it's got lots of customizable options. Now personally, I'm not one to customize the colors and things on my phone too much, but this will possibly be useful for some of you out there. Now moving on to the additional features that these devices offer. With the HTC One M9, you've got those BoomSound speakers, but now you've got Dolby stereo sound on here, so it's going to give you a much more immersive experience. So they have improved this on the HTC One M9, and HTC are probably the best in terms of audio from your smartphone. Nothing else really comes close. With the S6 and the S6 Edge, you've got a bottom facing speaker now, so rather than the back facing speaker, so this should improve things somewhat, but it's not going to come anywhere near the HTC One M9. You do have now a fingerprint scanner, which is a touch fingerprint scanner rather than the swipe that we've seen previously, and it's also integrated with Samsung Pay that uses NFC and MST, so this should be really good in terms of integrating payments when you go out and about. We'll have to see this in action when it's fully rolled out, so this will be very interesting to see. And you've also got the heart rate sensor at the back of the device. Now this probably will not be used too much. Well, it wasn't used much by me, but if you want to measure your heart rate, you can do that, and you can also use it to take pictures, say from the front facing camera. With the S6 Edge, you also have the unique dual edge display, so you are going to have some additional features such as the time being displayed when the device is on your table. You've also got quick glances at your notifications and things, which you can see. And the new feature that they've got here, which wasn't on the Note Edge, is your contacts. So you've got 5 contacts which you can assign different colors to, and if your phone's down on the table, then these will glow in that particular color, so you'll know who's calling you without even picking up the phone, and you can decide whether to answer it or not. So that is quite a new unique feature, and I'm sure other features will be coming to the S6 Edge as developers bring them out. Now moving on to the batteries, the HTC One M9 comes with a 2840 mAh battery. This is not removable. The S6 comes with a 2550 mAh battery, and the S6 Edge comes with a 2600 mAh battery. these are not removable again, so this is something new that we have seen with these devices, whereas previous Samsung devices usually have a removable battery. Now in terms of usage, we are going to have to put these side by side to see which gives a better usage across the day. You do have wireless charging, however, on the S6 and the S6 Edge. This is something that's not available on the HTC One M9, so this is a slight advantage that you have here. And both of these do come with fast charging, so this will be great for those quick top-ups that you need. Now moving on to the release dates, the HTC One M9, they've said it's going to be released mid-March time, so I'd expect it roughly between mid-March towards April time, whereas the S6 and the S6 Edge, they've given the date of 10th of April, so that's when you're going to be able to get your hands on it. You're probably going to be able to get hold of the HTC One M9 a little bit earlier. In terms of pricing, there's no confirmed pricing as yet, but I'd expect the S6 and the S6 Edge to go for between 600 to 650 pounds, probably 600 for the S6 and 650 for the S6 Edge, and between $700 and $750. Those are the usual flagship prices. The HTC One M9, I'd expect roughly about 600 pounds or around about $700. So there we have it, the S6 and the S6 Edge versus the HTC One M9. Overall, I think both are bringing lots to the table, but Samsung, I do think, have gone that step further by giving us something unique with that dual edge display. So this is something different and something we haven't seen before, whereas HTC have played it a little bit safe and kept to something that's worked for them before. Now it is going to come down to your personal preference. Which do you think is better? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more videos coming up on here, including full hands-on reviews and comparisons between these devices as soon as they are released. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time. If you want to see more regular videos like this one, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, which will be below. If you're on a mobile device, it may be somewhere else. If you want to see my previous related video, then hit the link right here. If you want to stay in touch over Facebook, Twitter and Google+, then all of the addresses will be there somewhere, as well as direct links in the description below. Okay, if you're still watching, then that means you've not done one of those things, so, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna go downstairs. See. Okay. There isn't really a downstairs. Anyway, so yeah.